Hi, I'm Michelle Stirling for Friends of Science Society. You know, I was just going back through my files because this whole issue of the UNDRIP legislation rang a bell with me, and I wondered, did I write something about this before many years ago? And in fact, I did. Back in 2012, I was what was called a Yahoo contributor. They had sort of a blog going like Medium at the time, and people could write various commentaries. And I was one of the contributors. And I found this one that says, oil sands jobs will be shut down when banks go carbon neutral. Normally, people associate corporate color marketing campaigns with social benefits, like pink for breast cancer fundraisers. But the green for going carbon neutral might have some unexpected consequences. While reviewing the online environmental statement of a major Canadian bank that just announced its carbon neutral status, I was alarmed to find the radical bank track on its list of ENGOs that this bank had engaged with in an environmental dialogue. First of all, I think the whole carbon issue is a big scam, much of it driven by the carbon war room, where wealthy speculators like Richard Branson plan to get even richer thanks to simpletons like you and I who are terrified of global warming. But secondly, while reviewing BankTrack's contribution to thoughtful commentary on the economy and the environment, I could only find rabid spewing about the tar sands, claiming the tar sands needs to be phased out immediately. At first I thought it was some kind of joke that this group could ever be listed on a major bank's website as part of their environmental dialogue. But further investigation revealed that this bank had also bought right into one of BankTrack's demands, as noted below. 1. Require clients to provide evidence of free prior informed consent, FPIC, from First Nations on projects and activities affecting their communities. FPIC reflects international law, minimizes conflict, and was adopted by TD Bank Financial Group as part of its environmental management framework in 2007. So that's a long time ago. So this bank adopted these principles long before anyone ever consulted with the First Nations people here. And number 2 was phase out financing and advisory to projects related to the oil sands, which adversely impact in a non-reversible manner critical natural habitats or freshwater resources used for drinking water. And the French bank Dexia adopted this global best practice as part of its energy sector guidelines in 2008. So, I'm sure that Dexia is financing all kinds of other oil companies that are working around the world without these kind of restrictions. And number 3, develop an action plan to reduce financed emissions of climate change pollution related to lending activities. This new global standard was announced in 2009 by UniCredit Bank as part of its Green Deal with the World Wild Fund to reduce CO2 emissions by 30% by 2020. I bet that never happened. So, to my mind, it's crazy to be a client of a bank like TD Bank that deals with groups that want to get rid of your customer's workplace. After all, something like 1 in 4 Canadians are directly employed by the oil sands, and 1 in 9 benefit indirectly. So I didn't understand why a bank like TD Bank would cooperate with these unelected, unaccountable, overseas environmental radicals who have no First Nations people in their countries, and yet they write up rules for us and for ours. Or why is this bank working with eco-propaganda groups like the World Wild Fund instead of standing up for industry at home? I guess they think they're saving the planet by turning green, and by some twisted logic that their clients will like this move until their clients become unemployed, that is. Looks like ultimately going carbon neutral equals income neutral too. So that's what I wrote in 2012. And now we've progressed to the stage where the federal government is trying to push through Bill C-15. And as I mentioned in a previous video, there are a number of band leaders that I've spoken with who are completely opposed to UNDRIP, to Bill C-15. They see that there's a risk that it may actually breach the contractual arrangements between First Nations and the Crown, and may be very detrimental to them in the long run. So if you're asking for free, informed, and prior consent from First Nations people, maybe you should ask all of them. And if they don't agree, maybe you should listen instead of trying to ram a bill through Parliament. Because that's not climate justice, is it? That's just greenwashing. For Friends of Science Society, I'm Michelle Stirling.